had 2 tables purchased. They didn't even show.
You are listening to
They had some other people that didn't show.
Digital
The venue wasn't
Broadcasting,
big
the
enough, so they were
best
trying to put people
paranormal talk
outside.
only
And when
on
they put it up, they
Paranormal
would be outside, and it was gonna be 100
Radio.
degrees.
Broadcasting
Some of those
live
people bailed.
out of Birmingham, Alabama.
And some people have issues with Justin. Or Jason, to be honest. Paranormal Pride. We will visit only with the best investigators, location owners, demonologists, researchers, inventors, authors, mediums, psychics, and enthusiasts. Anyone with a love or interest in the paranormal, the supernatural, or the unexplained will be meeting here on Mondays at 8 p.m., 7 Central. Welcome to the Paranormal Pride. Tonight, my guest is Mike Ricksecker. Some of you may know him from Haunted Road Media Paracon, if you went to that last year. You may also know him from all of his books from Haunted Road Media. You may know him from Edge of the Rabbit Hole if you watched him live on YouTube, and Friday Night Ghost Frights. He is very active in the paranormal, and he's also a really good friend of mine. I've met him twice. How many times? It's been twice, right? And we're going to be going to the Haunted Road Media Paracon at Mineral Springs again. That's coming up here June 1st. And so we're all very excited about that coming up. And if you haven't been to Mineral Springs, this is an easy way to get in there, because there's also a paranormal investigation that night that you can have as an add-on to go into the event. So keep that in mind. We'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about all the things that Mike does with his paranormal taping. And I mean, he does. I'm going to tell you, Mike does so much stuff that I can't keep up with him. I'm not even kidding. So I hope you guys have some questions for Mike and all kinds, because I know I do. So welcome, Mike. Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride.
Hey, Denise. Always great to be on your show.
Well, like I said, the first time I had you on, I had somebody cancel. And, I was always so grateful that you were able to come in and step in. I think it was like 2.5 hours before I was supposed to go live, and I was still new at this at that time. So it was very helpful, and I learned a lot from you at that time. And since then, I've learned a lot from you. So I would like to welcome everyone in the chat to get to know Mike Ricksecker. And if you have any questions about anything, please feel free to ask. He will answer your questions. He's got lots and lots of answers about things that you wouldn't even dream that he would have an answer to. And I'm not even being sarcastic. And
well, I don't know.
Know me.
I try. We're still trying to figure out all these mysteries of the universe, so to speak. So I'll do my best to answer the questions.
Well, when we were at the paranormal conference there, actually that would be 3 times we've actually been together. When we were at the paranormal conference at Spook Show Con, you had actually done a presentation on shadow people that was actually very good. And I know I taped it. I did the Facebook Live with all of it that day. And I know Shayna was given some grief on there. No, actually, she wasn't giving grief. She was watching it, and she was having fun.
Right.
And,
she does that.
And the presentation was really good. And then you asked me, what I liked about it was that you didn't make all shadow people out to be bad. Because I don't believe all shadow people are bad. And you went through all the logic about all of it, and I thought it was very good. And you asked me my opinion. I gave you my opinion. And I thought that was really good. Are you working on a presentation for Spook Show in August or for any other paranormal conference coming up?
Yeah. Well, the first event of the season is in Waterloo, Iowa. It's the one Kelly McCarville's putting on there. I'm actually presenting, I have 2 presentations going on that one. One is the Shadow Person one, and then the other one is History in the Paranormal, a Working Relationship. But yeah, with Shadow People, Yeah, I think it's a big misconception, and I've seen other people out there on some of these bigger shows and networks and what have you go on there with their their book or whatever they've written and say things like, well, the shadow people are the most evil of evil things, and it's like, no.
Right.
I've had so many different shadow people encounters, and of all of them, I've only ever had one touch me and interact with me. And looking back on that incident as an adult, I can't even say that it was harmful. They didn't do anything necessarily malicious. It was definitely creepy and invasive, but I can't say that they were actually trying to harm me, because what they were doing was crossing my arms across my body. And I've had a number of people suggest over the past few years that maybe for whatever reason they thought that I was dead and they were putting me in a burial pose. So it's a interesting idea. But I do have a video out there. Are all shadow people evil? And no, they're not. In fact, we actually just released a video earlier this evening about sleep paralysis and shadow people, which I believe is another big misconception that either you see this out there on whether it's YouTube or even some of these shows on television that talk about shadow people or sleep paralysis. They always seem to link the two together, and there are a lot of ways in which they are, but it's not an all-inclusive. It's not, well, okay, you have sleep paralysis, therefore you're seeing shadow people, or you've seen a shadow person, therefore you have sleep paralysis. I've had both. I've had both sleep paralysis and I've seen shadow people, but I've never had those two things happen at the same time. So I think there's a lot of different misconceptions going on out there about who and what shadow people are, what their intentions are, and these other things that sometimes happen during these incidents, like like the sleep paralysis, or there are some shadow people out there that are not good guys. I think like humans, there's good people and there's bad people, and so therefore I think there's good shadow people and bad shadow people, and so I think it just depends on the specific incident, and it's not all inclusive.
Right. I always had a theory that sometimes shadow people were just regular apparitions that couldn't fully manifest, and sometimes as far as they could get was a shadow. Was one of the theories that I had, but of course there's no way to prove it.
Yeah, there's not a way to prove it, but I have heard that, and my good friend Rob Guttrow, one of the shadow people that he has seen, I can't remember offhand if it was his mother or his grandmother, but one of those close female relations, right after she passed away, and he swears it was her, trying to manifest and just couldn't quite get there. So I believe that's possible too, that there are human spirits that appear as shadows, but I would say that those are separate from shadow people. That type of entity in and of itself, I think the shadow people are a supernatural interdimensional being where on the other side there's human spirits that are trying to manifest and just can't quite get there. So it's a lot of the research that I'm in the middle of doing.
I know that you do a very good job on research, so I have no doubt that it's going to be good when we see it. What date is the event in Waterloo, Iowa?
That is March 2nd and 3rd.
So keep that in mind, everyone. If you're in the area of Waterloo, Iowa, March 2nd and 3rd is a paranormal conference up there. And if you want more information, get with Kelly McCarville. She can get you that information. And I have Kelly McCarville scheduled on the Paranormal Pride. I believe it's in May sometime, because she is also going to be one of the speakers at Spook Show Con. So I wanted to make sure that I got everybody who's going to be at Spook Show Con on the Paranormal Pride so that they could, tell us what they're going to be doing. And Mike is also going to be at Spook Show Con. But I booked him before I knew who was all coming. I knew he was coming. I just didn't know that I was going to try to book everybody in. So I'm getting him at the beginning of Paranormal Conference season.
Yep.
So,
And Kelly is also speaking at the Haunted Road Media Paracon too.
So
it's all one big
there you
happy
go.
family.
So needless to say, and I'm going to Haunted Road Media Paracon on the 1st, and I offered my services as a backup speaker if somebody doesn't show up. So, because we all know things happen. So,
Things do happen, and we definitely love to have you speak. Our speakers fill up fast. I pretty much had everybody booked, so maybe we'll get you up there next year.
Like I said, backup works for me, and needless to say, things happen, and I'm happy with just being able to be there. So I like coming around and visiting with everyone. The bad part is this year, it's not the same weekend as last year, so it won't be my birthday weekend.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, they had a wedding booked for that particular weekend, so we had to do it a week earlier.
Right, and so needless to say, even McPike Mansion, darn cat, she broke my headband.
Oh.
It irritates me. McPike Mansion had a tour that same night that we were all there, and they're not going to have one the night of your event. So no backup fun, just in case we sell out of the investigation. And the investigation on the night of the paranormal conference is $35, right?
Right, $35 for the investigation, and you'll get to investigate 4 different levels of the hotel.
And all of those levels, people, if you're wondering, they were all on Ghost Adventures. We saw all of that if you watched the episode, it was all on there, and it's very interesting. And if you do this event, make sure you wear tennis shoes.
Yeah,
I'm just telling you from experience.
Actually, I think we're doing a level that was not on Ghost Adventure, because I don't think they did the ballroom back hallway area, which is part of the investigation. So you get to do stuff that wasn't on Ghost Adventures too.
Oh yeah, because I think we only saw them talking to someone in the ballroom, but it wasn't clear.
Yeah, that could have been it.
It was kind of fuzzy at that point, but it's still going to be good. I think you guys will all enjoy it. Some of the people got really good EVPs that night. Some of the other people got a bracelet ripped off their ankle, and this is just what we witnessed ourselves. I had some experiences in the ballroom area, just a bunch of different spirits that were coming and talking to me and stuff like that. But it was very much fun. But I'm going to tell you from experience, make sure you wear tennis shoes, because then the basement and in the upper levels, it's very important that you have on regular shoes. I wore sandals.
Absolutely.
I wore sandals. I didn't get hurt or anything, but it is kind of dangerous down there. So just keep that in mind. Let's see. We've got a really full chat room, and everybody's really happy to see you here. And let's see, what is the next paranormal conference you're doing after March 3rd and 4th?
So March 3rd and 4th. Okay, so I have in April 13th, 14th, Dubuque, Iowa. It's another event Kelly McCarville's putting on. Then May 4th and 5th, the Ohio State Reformatory. That's the Parapsychon that Greg Vaketic from Pricey Ghost Hunters is putting on there. Mm-hmm. So they did St. Joseph's Hospital last year for that particular event, but the status of St. Joseph's is up in the air, so they scheduled it for Ohio State Reformatory, which should be equally as great. I mean, there was thousands of people out there last year for that particular event. So hosting it at OSR should just make it even better. Oh yeah,
because that's an expensive place to get into.
It is. It's not cheap, but it's a fantastic place to investigate. If you can manage it, and even if you can just do what is actually reasonable there is the self-guided walking tour. It's like $12, and you can, if you get there early in the day, you basically have free roam of the place for the entire day, just walking around. I mean, yeah, you have to deal with, other people that are walking through and tourists, and all that stuff, but you can just hang out in an area until it gets quiet. We've experienced paranormal activity just on some of those walking tours.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's how we've experienced most